we are. So good to be here with you all today. We are going to talk today about pleasure and our relationship with our food. And we're going to talk about the pain that we are feeling with our food and how we can change that and shift that. So if you have been experiencing pain, restricting, binging, emotional eating, discomfort around your food, obsessing about your food, feeling out of control with your food. These are all symptoms of pain, and it's just not fun. We're living our lives and food is everywhere. And we want to find a way that we can be in a great relationship with food and actually enjoy it, have pleasure with our food. Sometimes the pleasure is just finding neutrality, being able to be around food and have food in our life without feeling like we are out of control or needing to restrict or control ourselves, and just having that space of like, yeah, there's food, I'm here, it's all good. To me, that is pleasure beyond pleasure. So if you have watched my TEDx talk, you are very aware that it's called the secret ingredient to feeling good in our body, and that secret ingredient is pleasure. Pleasure is the secret ingredient to feeling good in our body. I created a whole course called the Pleasure Plan, which is about using this idea of pleasure, not instant gratification, actually pleasure in being able to enjoy. So pleasure in how we talk to ourselves, pleasure with how we are with our bodies. Pleasure could be another word, could be compassion or peace or comfort or care, peace and pleasure with how we move our bodies, how we exercise, and then how we are in relationship with food. So let's jump in right now. Number one on the 5 steps are, what are your beliefs? So I want you to get out a journal. I want you to sit down with a cup of tea or whatever your cup of pleasure would be for you. And I want you to write at the top, what are my beliefs about food? And I want you to start listing them and looking at them, getting them out of your mind, thinking about what your beliefs are. So we have these thoughts that become beliefs, and beliefs become patterns and our perceptions. And then we show up to our life with that on a regular basis. And we're not even aware of what these beliefs are. So we need to slow down and look. So some beliefs that I've had is that eating 2 pieces of chocolate cake is not appropriate. It's bad. 3 pieces of pizza, not good. I need to be in control and eat like a normal person, whatever normal is. So we're looking at these beliefs that are saying, if I eat that, then I am. If I eat that, then I'm a loser. If I eat too much of that, then I'm out of control. If I eat when I'm sad, that means I'm emotionally eating. There's something wrong with me, and going on and on and on. So lots of times we've grown up with these. We've grown up with beliefs that our parents have had. Sugar is bad. We're constantly told sugar is bad. Well, in what context is sugar bad? Is sugar bad at a birthday party, at your birthday party, where someone bakes you this beautiful cake? There are these beliefs that we're enjoying something and we're liking it, and then all of a sudden it's like, I'm not allowed to. This is wrong. This is not okay. So I want you to start thinking about that. And thinking about, okay, well, where did this belief come from? And asking yourself this question, is it true? If I let go of this belief, that means I'm going to be out of control. If I let go of this belief, that means, what does it mean? So we're looking at this and we're pulling it apart, and we're looking at where the fear is. When we find the fear that is behind our beliefs, we can pinpoint them, and then there can be support around that. If you don't know and you're being run by beliefs that are not serving you anymore, then you're going to be in this place of pain and you're going to keep coming up against yourself. So I know that in this course that I'm teaching right now and sharing with you, that there are going to be some things that you're going to get. And you're going to be like, that was awesome. Thank you. I'm going to implement that. I'm off to the races. There are going to be certain things that are not going to be easy for you, and you're going to need support around. If that is the case, I want you to DM me and we will get on the phone and talk about whatever that issue is that you're coming up against. Because you could be there forever if someone isn't guiding you to get out of your own way and really pinpointing what are these beliefs and why they're not serving you. So is it true? And the other question is, does it matter? Does it really matter? Like at the end of the day, when you're looking at your life, does that belief really matter? And if it does really matter, once again, how can you look at that in a different way? How can you be like, this belief And my holding it so strong and white knuckling it and needing to have this belief, that's the issue, right? That's where we're going. That's what we want to find. So it seems like, okay, Marla, I thought you were talking about pleasure. I thought we were talking about this being a pleasurable situation. And now you're telling me I'm finding all these places of fear. And yes, pleasure is not about bypassing. It is actually finding these places of pain that are ruling our lives and coming right up against them and being in compassion with them and changing them and shifting them. See, that's the difference. We're coming up against these places of holding and pain so that we can move past it and be in a place of pleasure. The other thing I want you to think about when it comes to your beliefs is I want you to think about who is saying it, who has said it, where you've heard it, and if it is true for your own body. So certain things like eating after 6 o'clock is bad. Well, is it? Is it bad for you? Is it bad for your body? Is it bad for what you need and what nourishment? There are certain times in my life where I had to eat right before I went to bed because my blood sugar would drop and wake me up in the middle of the night. So if I ate right before I went to bed, then I was able to sleep soundly through the night. So that's just an example. I want you to loosen some of these beliefs that you have so you can have more life in your life. Number 2 is slowing down. So we had Kate Stone. If you didn't watch that, I invite you to go back. Kate is the master of mindful eating, and we dive deep into slowing down, being with our food, being mindful with our food. And so slowing down can be a challenging thing. I find it challenging, quite honestly. But one of the reasons I found that it was very challenging at one point is that if I slowed down, then I would come up against these beliefs. So the belief is that chocolate, sugar is bad. So I just eat it really quick and get it over with. It's like, I don't even want to think about my belief that I have around it, which is so negative. I'm just going to eat it really, really quickly. So when we slow down, we can slow down and notice these beliefs, move through them, and then also we are allowed to enjoy our food. Food is pleasure. Food is grounding. Food is nourishment. Food is a gift from God. It is here for us. It is not against us. It is neutral, and you're allowed to enjoy it. Many people will say to me, well, I'm just not going to eat. I'm going to come home tonight and I'm not going to eat any ice cream. And you know you're eating the ice cream, right? You know that you're going to white knuckle it, but by the end of the night, you're going to have a big belly of ice cream. Why not set yourself up? Change the relationship to that and say, okay, I'm going to eat this in the most pleasurable way. I'm going to get myself my ice cream in a nice dish. I'm going to sit down with a candle and I'm going to enjoy it because I am allowed to. I'm a grown-ass woman who's allowed to sit down and enjoy some ice cream. There's no one over me. My parents are not here. I am allowed and I'm going to enjoy it. And so when you begin to allow yourself and change the relationship, change the constriction, change the I better not, the belief systems, beginning to calm your nervous system and actually enjoy it. That is so important, my friends, in this journey of changing your relationship, stopping the obsessing and stopping the restriction. When we are allowed to have something, when we are allowed, we don't take it off the table and we give ourselves full permission, there's going to be a point where you're just not going to want as much of it. It's just true. Now, there can be some growing pains in that, right? The growing pains lead to pleasure. So at some point, you may need to eat a lot of it because you took it off the table for so long that you're finding the balance and then you're listening to your body. So number 3 is letting go of shame. So let me just recap. One is, what are your beliefs? Number 2 is slowing down. And number 3 is more compassion and letting go of shame. This is key, my friends. When you are coming to a place where you just emotionally ate or you binged, the most important thing that you can do to change and to not go back into a cycle of restricting, dieting, binging, emotionally eating is after you binge, go to a place of compassion for yourself. You're not going into the shame. You're not going into the putting yourself down. You're not beating yourself up. You are getting to a place of compassion. So most people like to have compassion for themselves when they're doing it right. And they think that once they figure it out and once they're on the other side of, well, let me just spell it out for you, the cycles that we can go through. So we can have I'm going to diet. I found this new diet. I have this diet mentality. I'm going to restrict. I'm going to be perfect. I'm going to do it all. I'm doing really well. I've lost weight. I'm using my willpower. And then something happens, life happens, letting go of stress, something stressful happens, and then boom, you're off to the races. You've been restricting too long. Your body is just like, give me it now. You start craving food and you start binging or overeating or emotionally eating or just eating more than you were before. And then you start feeling really bad about yourself. And you start feeling like, I'm a loser. There's something wrong with me. Why can't I figure this out? I always end up doing this. And then what do? That behavior, that shame, catapults you right back into the restriction. So at this point right here is where you are going into compassion. When you can have compassion and letting go of the shame right here is when you're going to stop and do something different. So this point is where I love to work with people, because that's when it's like, well, what do I do? I want to do something. I don't know what to do. What do? The only thing I know to do is restrict and diet. There's so many other things that you can do to be with yourself, to have more pleasure. And if you don't have someone holding that space for you, because it can feel really uncomfortable. Okay, I'm not going to diet. Well, what am I going to do? I want to change my relationship, but it feels really tricky and uncomfortable. And that's where support can help you. But also know that in that discomfort, in that place of like the vacuum of unknown, is where you can find a different way. So it's sitting in the unknown. It's allowing for support. So that compassion, that letting go of shame is key to changing your relationship with emotionally eating, binge eating, overeating, restricting, blah, blah, the whole thing. And on a smaller level, on a shorter level, every time you eat food, I know for me, it's like every time I ate food, I felt bad about myself. Every time I would start judging myself, and then I would end judging myself and comparing myself to, other people and what they ate. There was a constant beating up. My food was never right. And we just got to stop. It's not helpful. And I know it's not easy, but it's being aware that you're even doing it is really important. So number 4 is listening to your body. So many of you have said that this is something you want to learn how to do. You want to learn to listen to your body and get in touch with your body. Listening to our body, we're becoming friends with ourselves. But lots of times we don't want to listen to our body because our body has information that we don't want to hear. We don't want to hear that this type of food is creating maybe an allergy. We don't want to hear that this food is actually safe for us and you actually want it and it's okay for you, because you're like, no, I can't have it. It's not okay. We don't want to listen. So we just shut ourselves out, go into this little bubble of restriction or whatever it is, and just block ourselves out. And it ends up being like we're in a holding pattern and we're not listening. What happens when you don't listen to a partner? What happens when you don't listen to a friend? When they come and say, hey, this doesn't feel right. Hey, this isn't. And you're just like, yeah, whatever. They're not going to want to be around you. It's the same with your body. If you're not listening, if you're not becoming your own best friend, you're working against each other. We want to get you in a place where you can work with your body. And so a lot of the things that I'm sharing with you are the mindful, the self-care moments, the meditating, the moving, the finding ways of more self-care that we've been working on, the more self-care, the taking care of yourself, the listening, the slowing down, the doing the journaling, the taking care of yourself is going to help you to listen to your body. And in those moments where you don't want to listen, but you know that you need to, that's the fear. And that's what you're coming up upon. And when you get to work that fear out with someone like myself or yourself or a therapist, that's where you're going to find more pleasure and more joy. So we can use the cues that our body gives us to say, okay, that cue is leaning me more towards pain, and that cue is leaning more towards pleasure. So for example, I thought I was obsessed with food because I was constantly thinking about it. But I was just hungry. So my cue, and what I've listened to now is like, just eat food. Sit down and eat like a whole meal and then go live your day. Then you'll eat in a little while, but don't pick. Don't have the water that you're trying to fill your belly up. You're not fooling anyone, okay? You may feel full for a moment before you eat, but you're not fooling anyone. You're not fooling your body. I'm sorry, you're not. It's not happening. Don't think you're getting away with it. Chewing gum or whatever you're doing to restrict, it doesn't work because your body knows. And so we're leaning into pleasure. We're leaning to what feels more peaceful, more aligned, okay? And number 5, and the last one we have to talk about, is finding your why. I want you to find your why. Why do you want to let go of your painful relationship with food? And why do you want to have a more pleasurable one? So many of us can say, well, I just want to stop the restricting. I'm sick of obsessing. I'm sick of being hungry. I'm sick of binging. I'm sick of having emotional eating. Yes, these are all good whys. You're just done. You're over it. You want to surrender. You're just done with the pain and bring on the pleasure. That is a great why. I know for me that I have had to say to myself, this is the body that I am in that doesn't have the pain. In order for me to be free and to have peace with food and to have peace of mind, this is the body that I'm going to have to live in. So we get to make this choice. My why is like, I'm just done. I can't do it anymore. So are there moments where I think to myself, oh, but if you just did this, then you could maybe lose a little bit of weight. Like, yes, those thoughts honestly can come in. But at the end of the day, I can't go back. I just can't go back to that place anymore. Like my body, my being will not let me, because the pleasure of life, the peace that is present in my life and the life that I'm able to live and the body I'm in right now, I'm just not going to sabotage that. And that's what I want you to get to, is this place of, I need to accept this. This is the body I'm in because I need to have peace in my life. And, I also want to say that the peace that you have can create actually the body that you do want. It's not about thinking that, and this is so important, it's not about thinking that if you have peace with your body and food, that means you're going to gain weight. It's not the case. It's often the opposite. And it's not something that I sell as like, okay, have peace with your body and your food, and then you're going to lose weight. Because I don't always see that, but it's true in many regards, because the stress, the pain, the suffering, the restriction leads to the binge eating. It leads to the emotional eating. It is the catalyst. The dieting is the catalyst for the overeating. So when we lean into pleasure, we can let go of these things and our body will actually normalize to what it's supposed to be. And then we can let go of what society tells us, like be a woman growing in this body. I want you to please let me know what your takeaways are from this video. I want to know if this was helpful. I want to know what you need more of, what felt uncomfortable. So if there's something that I talked about, going through them, 1 is, what are your beliefs? Number 2, slowing down. Number 3, being compassionate and letting go of shame. Number 4, listening to your body. And number 5, finding your why. So in those 5, if you're coming up against a belief that's challenging, I want you to let me know. Let's work through that, okay? Let's stick together in this. Sending you so much love.